Hi, my name is John, and I'm a sex addict. Here's my first step. I grew up the fifth of six children to a religious family back east. When I was growing up, I realized the Catholic faith was the number one influence in my household, followed closely by working hard. I was so hurt as a result of being emotionally abandoned by my parents that I refused their occasional attempts at positive self-care. I developed a steely will around hiding my emotions, which was the beginning of my financial and psychological disassociation. Financial security was going to be my number one goal in life. I learned from my family that everything in life is scarce: love, touch, money, food, connection, sex, and fun. I attended the local Catholic elementary school that was attached to our church. In the Catholic school system, fear was used to ensure compliance. Some people chose to rebel. I chose to become very compliant. I was consumed by fear of the vindictive God, the nuns, my classmates, and academic failure. I responded by becoming more isolated from others, controlling, and a perfectionist. My feelings of powerlessness as a boy were highlighted in the sixth grade when some kids in my class stole my shoes in the schoolyard during lunch. I tried to get them back and clearly remember giving up and sitting by myself, totally humiliated and ashamed. I resolved to never feel ashamed or humiliated that way again, no matter what. Sex was never discussed in my family, with some of my older siblings who would always speak in double entendres. I was very naive about sex. I inherited my views of sex from my mother and the Catholic Church. I believed that sex was mysterious, shameful, heterosexual, secret, and bad. I craved love, holding, caring, and nurturing, but I had no idea how to get it. I denied these feelings. My adolescent college crushes included many men in my classes. I thought that I might be gay, but recognized that I would never choose a gay lifestyle, as it would preclude love, family, and any type of financial security. I had a strong case of internalized homophobia or self-hatred. I would become friends at college with guys I was attracted to. I believed most of them were straight, and this pattern began to repeat itself. I believed I had my secret sexuality under control between the use of masturbation and gay porn, occasional trips to New York City porn theaters, and even more rare physical hookups. My pattern: read personal ads, fantasize about being with real people, and masturbate. After college, I added visiting gay acting out locations and paying for prostitutes as a supplement to anonymous sex. Soon after came meeting men for sex using phone lines or personal ads. I eventually accepted my sexuality and got into my first relationship at age 28. The first 2 years were amazing, but after that I recognized that my partner did not even try to meet all my sexual needs. I eventually went to a gay acting out place and had anonymous sex during the business trip. My partner was forgiving, and from that moment I was able to have my cake and eat it too. It became a one-way open relationship for me without us ever really discussing it. I was also extremely codependent in that relationship. Eventually, that 7-year relationship ended, and I coped with the feelings of abandonment and rejection by discovering a new acting out behavior that was about to become my kryptonite: online chat rooms and gay male posting services. I was immediately addicted and spent all my free time engaging in those behaviors. I was engaging heavily in my love addiction. I rationalized, surely you have to sleep around to meet men, but surely one of them would want to date me. No one ever did. My acting out increased by leaps and bounds over the following few years: online chatting, anonymous sex, paying for sex, etc. I entered my first recovery program around codependency in 1995. I worked with a sponsor and the steps slowly, and it eventually became apparent that my sexual behavior was out of control. I estimate that I've slept with 800 to 900 men over the course of my acting out career. I recognized my sex addiction and eventually started attending Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous. I would regularly attend meetings, but didn't feel the need to get a sponsor or work the 12 steps. I regularly put together a few months of sobriety, and then due to some outside influence, job loss, feelings of loneliness, boredom, good news, bad news, depression, or unworthiness, I would get right back online for an anonymous sex hookup. The pattern continued year in, year out. Acting out online, not acting out online. Using escorts, not using escorts. Masturbation to porn, masturbation online ads, no porn. No masturbation to ads. But eventually, always back to my reliable online addiction. I'm a high bottom addict. I had a regular acting out partner, and we started engaging in unsafe sex and continue the practice. We can continue the pattern even when my HIV status became unknown for a period of time. I was overcome with guilt and suicidal thoughts at the thought of infecting him, but I kept acting out. Incredibly, I've remained HIV negative. By October of 2003, I realized how insane my life was. I started bargaining. I wouldn't create or reply to any new acting out postings. I would just reconnect with existing acting out partners. When the familiar triggers to acting out came up, I would contact 5 to 10 potential partners for sex. I still needed my fix. During this time, I came to the Saturday morning SAA meeting. I was desperate, and the idea of a more accountable approach to recovery was becoming more acceptable. I recall coming to my first meeting and seeing several familiar faces. As is my pattern, I froze up as soon as the meeting ended, paralyzed by fear of talking to someone but desperately wanting to connect. Everyone seemed really friendly and connected. I was approached by several people who gave me their numbers. I got it, that this program really worked and that if I surrendered, I could find a way out of the hell that I had been living under. I was just going to have to give up anonymous sex. I spent the rest of the weekend online acting out. My addict was terrified at the prospect of giving up control of my life to SAA and a higher power. Sometime in mid-October, I white-knuckled a short period of sobriety. On November 1st, 2003, my temporary sponsor and I sat down and created my inner circle. That included paying for sex, and when I agreed to give up anonymous sex, I began to cry. I realized that the jig was up and that no matter how hard it was, I was committed to sexual sobriety. The cost of the addiction to me includes disconnected values, lost intimacy, lost healthy sexuality, and lost serenity. For me today, there is a solution. My path in recovery, as well as individual therapy, has been a life-changing revelation. I'm grateful to have worked the 12 steps with a sponsor, fellows, and sponsees. My story includes 2 slips, one in 2006 and 2007, both regarding inappropriate online dating sites that led to anonymous sex. Through the intercession of my higher power, I've been able to remain sober since July 17, 2007. Regular meeting attendance, step work, regularly working with others, and prioritizing my spirituality, sobriety, and self-care have been critical to me being able to remain sober one day at a time. I'm eternally grateful for those who came before me and have invested time in me and my recovery. This program works. It really does.